Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to be making gingerbread cupcakes with a cream cheese frosting. I make this every single year. I love these cupcakes. Flavor-wise, it's like one of the best just because you have sweetness, you have spice, you have tang. If y'all are wondering why this isn't a plant video, I'm kind of experimenting in December, posting baking videos. And if you miss it, I have a video out of me baking some cinnamon rolls. The current status of that is there's 5 left. So I basically just Googled this recipe, and so I will put the link in the description below. So, okay, I'm excited. There's a couple things that we need to do right before we start. Preheat your oven. So we're doing 350. Grab your muffin tin and put some cupcake liners inside. And the most important of all, make sure you have your cream cheese and your butter sitting out for cream cheese frosting. And I have still not mastered it. I still find it very difficult making cream cheese frosting just because a lot of the time, if these components are too cold, you'll have a very lumpy frosting. And I remember last year, I was remembering as I was gathering everything, I messed up the cream cheese frosting, so I aborted that and I just went with vanilla buttercream because I ran out of cream cheese and I messed it up anyhow. So you want these two to be the closest in consistency to each other, so room temperature. So I have these sitting out now, and obviously you need your mixer of your choice. I have this KitchenAid with a paddle attachment. Let's begin. Okay, so we're gonna grab some I'm like hitting everything. Some flour over here. I talked about this in my cinnamon roll video. I like to pour the flour in a bowl separately, fluff it up with a spoon so it's not like compacted or too dense. A lot of the time when you buy flour, it's compacted. And I've said this before, I've definitely seen a difference when you do this. And so all-purpose flour. Alrighty, so once you have your flour, we got a half teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of baking soda, and your key spices. So I have here 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground clove. So into the flour mixture, and then we're just gonna mix it all together. It's really cool because these combinations of spices, they can be used in different amounts to manipulate the flavor. Like for example, a lot of these spices are used for pumpkin spice flavoring, and like you could even smell like mixing it. But yeah, just make sure you mix it really well. So that is perfect, y'all. We're just gonna put it off to the side. Then we're gonna go to our mixer. And so I'm adding some softened room temperature butter. I think I could have softened this more, but I'll just make sure I mix it really well. And then your brown sugar. So I just kind of softened it a little bit, pouring it in. Now, this recipe calls for light brown sugar. I have in the past used, I think it's the dark brown sugar. This one didn't say specifically if it's light, it just says old-fashioned. I'm pretty sure the difference between them is the amount of molasses content. So for example, the darker one will have more molasses, and therefore the flavor of the cupcake will be richer. And a lot of people might not like it, but I personally had no issue with it. I'm assuming because we're adding a 1/2 cup of molasses a bit later, that you want to start off with a light brown sugar. Okay, so I am actually going to mix this for quite a while. You want a pale and fluffy texture, and so here we go. So I'm just gonna stop it here for now. Okay guys, I don't know if you can see, but although it looks like all the butter and brown sugar is mixed, you want to keep going. It needs to be very smooth, very fluffy, and yeah, so we're gonna keep going. Okay, I'm just pausing again because you could see now that she's getting there. This is still not the consistency that we want. So we're just gonna keep going. We're gonna put it at a higher speed. Okay guys, I'm noticing I definitely need to get one of those things that keeps your brown sugar a softer texture, because I am seeing, because my brown sugar was a bit tough, that there are still solid, oh.
I have a reminder for Hakuna La Planta.
Anyhow, I was just using a fork to get rid of those solid bits. Obviously you don't want that. It'll affect the consistency. There are still bits in there of brown sugar, but we got no time. Just make sure when you do it at home, just make sure it's all incorporated. I'm gonna add the vegetable oil. This is a 1/4 cup. And just scraping the edges as we go. Okay, and now I'm going to add a couple eggs. Again, I never crack eggs over the mixture. I always take a separate bowl and crack it in the bowl. There's always a chance, no matter how good you are at cracking eggs, that there'll be a shell. So cracking it in a separate bowl, that's not white by the way, you could kind of tell, and you can easily fish it out as opposed to if it was already in the batter. Second egg. Okay guys, before I continue, I'm not gonna lie here and say like, oh my god, it's so perfect. It's not. There are still chunks of brown sugar. These cupcakes will only be eaten by myself and my boyfriend, and so we're just gonna move forward, and we just have, I don't know, y'all can see, I don't want to tip it. This is a half cup of molasses. Super satisfying, guys, just watching this. Okay, so now an important part of this recipe is alternating between the dry ingredients, which is the flour mixture that we did at the beginning of the video, and the wet ingredients. So in this case, it's just whole milk. There are a few reasons that you do this. By doing this alternating action, you ensure that you're getting all the sugars, all the spices, all mixed together. One of the biggest mistakes when you're mixing the batter is overmixing. Overmixing basically leads to a denser cupcake, and you don't want that. And that's because the more you mix, the more gluten strands you kind of develop in the mixture. And that's good if you're like trying to make breads and stuff, but not a delicious cupcake. But that's basically why you do an alternating pattern, always starting and ending with dry ingredients. So we're gonna start off with the flour mixture, add half the milk, another third of this, add the remainder of the milk, and then we'll finish off with this. Just add what you think is a third. I just made sure that it was kind of blended into the mixture before adding half of the milk, a third of the flour, the remaining milk, and the remaining flour. So you should fill these liners about 2/3 up. And so I like using this ice cream scoop here, okay? Heaping spoon into the second one. So these cupcake liners, when you compare them to other ones, they're a bit taller than the average ones. So they might look like they're about halfway full, but they're actually 2/3 right now. What I've noticed with cupcakes is just as long as you do a half to 2/3, then you should be okay. It actually looks like we might have a little bit more. It kind of looks like I could do 14. So let me just grab the other one. And so this is just a normal oven. It's not a convection oven. It is not wide enough. So I have just 2 of the racks here. One here, and then the small one just on the other side here. We're gonna leave them there for about 19 to 22 minutes.
All right, a 20-minute timer called cupcakes. Starting now.
Honestly, Google is hilarious. Look at that cute little cake. It's just because I named it cupcakes. Okay, I'm gonna clean up a little bit and then we'll check on the cupcakes. Okay guys, ooh, the Christmas tree. Okay, I think we're about done. I'm just gonna look in the oven. They look good. Look at these. Can y'all see? Okay, it's getting, okay. Oh.
Your cupcakes timer is up.
That's right. Alrighty, so I don't have a cake tester. I always just use a fork, so let's do that. Clean. I test like a couple, clean. And I usually test the biggest one, and they're all good. So I have a cooling rack here. So basically I'm just gonna kind of lift them up. Okay, so here they are. This is kind of the perfect, I'm not saying they're perfect, but when it comes to the shape, it's perfect for putting buttercream on. And I got new baking soda, so I didn't have that issue where they were sinking in. The most important thing when you're making cupcakes is you gotta wait. Gotta wait until it completely cools before you put the buttercream. Okay, I think it's been about a half hour, so let's start off with the frosting. Gosh, guys, I'm so nervous. You kind of want your butter. So this is the butter, and then this is the cream cheese. You want it soft enough that when you push down, your fingerprint goes through, but not all the way through, so not that soft. And you can see I already tested it with the cream cheese here. So just through. And again, you kind of want them at the same consistency. If one is firmer than the other one, if one is colder than the other one, it'll, you know, cause issues. The other thing is that unfortunately cream cheese frosting tends to be on the runnier side. And there are a few ways of adding, you know, stiffness. The first option is just to add more icing sugar into the mix. That tends to firm it up a little bit. However, if you're at a stage where it's like too sweet and you can't add more sugar, a lot of people say to put it in the fridge, and then once it's cool, it tends to firm up. Something that I tend to do, because I know cream cheese frosting gets really, it could get runny, is I actually add a touch more butter just to kind of counteract that. Even though the recipe asks for a 1/4 cup butter, I added a little bit more. 1/2 cup, not a 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup. Okay, now I'm doubting what I measured. Okay, let me like weigh it again. I just have my scale off to the side here, and just because I'm doubting what I measured. Okay, so the butter is already in the bowl. I prefer to cut them in pieces. It just helps with the whole mixing process. And the same with the cream cheese. Another thing I forgot to mention, it is really recommended to use a full fat cream cheese. So like, I think roughly around 30%. The lower fat options, like the light cream cheeses, they do have more water, I think, and obviously less fat. So from what I've read, it does affect the consistency, but I've never tried it. Listen, y'all, if I'm baking, everything needs to be full fat. Okay, I think we're okay. So I'm just adding a little bit of vanilla. The recipe calls for 3 cups of icing sugar. I've mentioned this before in a previous video, but I never follow the sugar content that they usually recommend in the recipe. And honestly, guys, I don't know if this is an American thing, but these buttercreams or frostings, every recipe that I have followed to the T, they're way too sweet. So for the most part, I add half the sugar. We'll see with this cream cheese frosting because I know I need it to like stiffen up a little bit. Like, I'm not measuring, like I have this much left. This is probably about 2 cups, 2.5 maybe. So I'm just gonna add it slowly, taste in between, and just like gauge that way. Okay, so if we're looking at consistency, we're actually looking pretty good. Just doing a taste test. It does need a little bit more sugar, so let's add a little bit. Oh, I think it tastes fine, but I need to taste again. Okay, do you know what? We're just gonna stick with it. And you could see I didn't use all the sugar. So I have a roll of disposable piping bags. We're just gonna grab one. Not gonna add a specific tip. You can do like the star tip like I did with my other cupcakes, but just design-wise, and because I'm putting something on top of the cupcake, I just need like a blob. I just need to pipe a blob onto the top of the cupcake. So piping bag, just invert it like that at the top. I know people usually put this over like a cup to make it easier. I don't like that. I like having it in my hand. I have more control that way. I usually just use my body to hold the bowl, and I just scoop the frosting in. So looking again, guys, it does look a little grainy, but when you put it in your mouth, you can't really tell a difference. Listen, I will take anything after a year ago. The disaster it was. I'm trying my best not to touch it too much just because the heat from your hands will melt it a little bit. So I like to go really quick at this point. You know what I should have done though? In the beginning, I should have clipped the bottom. Okay, I just put it in the fridge because I was like getting worried, but let me bring the cupcakes to you guys. Again, they look so good. Okay, we're gonna see if we could top all of them with the frosting. So I'm just gonna cut at this point so the hole is like really big. Just about here. So again, I just cut it like that. We're just gonna twist and we'll just begin. Yeah, it does look a little grainy, guys, to be honest. They look so cute. Okay, they're not done yet. Now I know I'm gonna get haters. I'm putting store-bought gingerbread man. You know, when I make a cupcake, I like the cupcake itself, buttercream cake, to shine on its own. But when I saw these, I was like, these are the perfect size. They're so cute, guys. And we're just gonna plop them on top. Oh my gosh. I can't get over how cute they look. These look adorable. I'm like really happy, guys. They look so cute. Ooh, I was scared for the frosting. Okay. Oh, how cute. I can't. Like, come on. They're so cute. And guys, not only do they look cute, they taste fantastic. Okay, let's cut into one. So here it is from the outside. Okay, gonna take you off for now. And we're just gonna slice through. That looks fantastic, guys. Super moist. Okay, let's do a taste test. Oh my. Okay, let me just take a smaller piece. I mean, come on. The only thing, I didn't realize how old my spices are, so I feel like it would taste a lot better if the spices were new. Still good, still love it, but when I was mixing the spices, it's like, oh, the best before date was like from a year ago. Oh man, let's look at them one more time before I have to put them away into the fridge. Oh, they are adorable. Okay guys, I guess that's it. I actually don't know what I'm gonna bake next. I'm kind of excited. There's definitely a couple of cupcakes that I wanna make. But yeah, I just thought this is so fitting for the season. And like I said, I make this once a year and I'm not sharing. I mean, I'm gonna share with my boyfriend obviously, but like, thank you guys so much for watching. If you've made it to the very end, thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.